Hello everyone, Auvbri here and welcome back to another speed build in The Sims 4. It's been a really long time since I've done like a traditional speed build. So we are back here in The Sims 4 and we're doing the Atlantis city. So it's the Greek myth. In the beginning, I honestly wanted to do the Disney version because I saw the Disney movie and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna make Atlantis. But the more that I started doing the builds and I talked to Fry from Simproved as well what I could do, and it became very clear to me that I wanted to make a Greek inspired Atlantis because it is a Greek myth. So that's what we're gonna do here. Before we actually jump really well into the video, I want to tell you guys about my Discord server. I have a Discord server now, and with the help of Fry from Simproved and my amazing moderator Brunetti, we have created a Discord server, so you can kind of join that, and it is the best way for you guys to contact me. I'm almost always online there, so definitely go check it out. There's a link in the description down below. Become a member. There's different channels and there's channels for like Simspiration, where you can send me your inspirational pictures if there's something you want me to maybe build in the future. There's different chats, there's music, there's general hangouts. So yeah, it's a really cool place to be, so come join me on my server. Again, link in the description down below. Also, while you're at it, why not leave this video a like and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. So let's jump into the build here. We have the front. So I built on the biggest lot there is in The Sims 4, which is a 64 by 64 lot. Honestly, I could have used more space because as we started developing the build, I realized that I didn't have enough space to build this whole thing. So there's not enough water and there's not enough buildings. But still, it is a very huge build. Now, I might be thinking, Auvbri, what type of build is this? Is it a residential lot? No, it's actually not. I mean, it is listed as a residential lot in the gallery, but there's actually nothing here. You could put down beds and stuff like that, but I didn't put any sort of thing like that in here. This build is purely for decorational purpose and just for showing off what I can do when my inspiration really takes over. So again, you can put in beds and stuff like that, but I didn't do that. This is just me playing around with the exterior and really getting into the building aspects, which is what I really love to do. I'm fairly good at interiors, but it's not my favorite thing to do in the world, so I just focused mainly on the exterior of this build. And it is, as you can see, almost a 30 minutes long video. Again, people on Discord got exclusive looks into what I was working on. So definitely, again, go check that out. I'm leaking like exclusive pictures. If you're interested in that and kind of interested in what I'm working on as well, you can post suggestions to me of what I should build in the future, and it's just a really cool place to hang out. But people on my Discord server know I posted my first when I was starting to build, and then I posted some update pictures and I posted a finished picture as well. So it took about 8 to 9 hours to finish this build, and that is without doing any real interior work. The reason that it took that long is because it's a freaking huge build. As you could see in the intro video, I chucked so much stuff in here, and even when I actually cheated a bit and actually you know, copy pasted some of the towers that we're gonna build a little later, and there's some stuff that I cut out, still a very long video. So it took a very long time for me to do this, but I think the result really do speak for itself. So here I'm starting to create the different layers. Now what I saw, every single picture that I see of Atlantis, even like if it's Disney or not, it's always this kind of layered city. So we have this big, let's call it like a throne room thingy in the middle on the top of the mountain, and then we have all of these smaller houses around it going down. There's lots of towers. So again, I took a lot of inspiration from both Disney and from the Greek myth, to really try to create something different and beautiful. I actually figured out, and I only saw this after I was done with the build, because when I'm done with the build, what I start doing is I start editing it. I look for music on YouTube to kind of put in over, so you guys can listen to something other than just my voice. And I searched Atlantis build, and another person has done this build. But my build is so different, so I don't think it's like a copy thing. I didn't know about that build, but it's a really beautiful build. But we did so different takes on the build. If you can hear Zoe in the background, my cat, she is currently in freaking heat again. And that's just lovely, because she's so lovely when she's in heat. She's rubbing all over the place, and it's just fantastic, isn't it? So yeah, of course I needed to put in some sex bushes, because I promised Fry, I've made a promise to her that I will forever, as long as The Sims 4 still exists and I keep building in The Sims 4, I will do in every single video a sex bush. I will throw one in there just for good measure. So we of course did that. The big knights that you see around the place, I'm actually going to change those out, and that was after my talk with Fry, because I showed her a picture of what I had currently made, and the Greek style just, it fit better. Like, it is a Greek myth. I don't know if any of you guys, I know this is made like a Sims channel, but I do play other games sometimes. Like, for example, we're playing Horizon Zero Dawn on live streams right now. But I love playing Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey is in ancient Greece as well. And there's an Atlantis section in that game as well. And that Atlantis looks nothing like this. So it was really interesting for me to do this build, because I wanted to keep it authentic but still keep it like mythical. So I wanted to have that Greek vibe but still have the mythical aspect of it. So we have all of these big statues that I am going to switch out later in the build, because again, this is a very long build. It took me hours, like hours and hours and hours to do this build. I went into the deep dark mode of the debug mode, and I asked for the debug queen to help me if there are any items I could use, and of course Fry delivered, and this is what we came up with. But again, it's a lot of fiddling around, as you can see, just trying to make everything stay in a place. So every single time I actually moved the terrain, something else moved, which was just kind of annoying to say the least. But we made it work in the end. So I wanted to have these great big staircases all over the city, kind of wrapping around. You can kind of see them and going through the marketplaces and stuff. This is where I cut some stuff out, because then the game flipped out. The terrain flipped out. You could see through the terrain at this point. I don't know why it does that, but it's like sometimes when you put down a tile on top of erased terrain, the terrain actually becomes see-through, so you can see underneath the ground, which is just blue, and it looks horrible. I believe there's a case of that, a little case of that in the back of the build when we actually get to that, but it's not too bad there, and I fixed it so that shouldn't be too bad. It also happened when I did the Pirate Town builds, which is yeah, it's like really annoying. So I started doing the towers after I fixed that. We have put in a couple of plants, and again, a lot of tropical plants here. So I chose trees that looked like the ones from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Seeing that I have never been to Greece myself, I need to draw inspiration from real life places and games and stuff like that. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey for me is a really good depiction of ancient Greece. They did so much research in that game, and it was a really good inspiration for me, because that meant that I could use some of those aspects from that game in my own build here. So I did that. We created these towers. There's gonna be lots of these towers around in different heights, just to create the illusion that this is a big city. These towers is not actually accessible because they are so small, and the staircases just wouldn't fit in, because the staircases needs a four long space, so 4 tiles long, and these were actually only 3, so you couldn't fit those in. Hopefully, like, fingers crossed guys, but hopefully we will at some point in The Sims 4 get freaking spiral staircases. Even L-shaped staircases would be freaking amazing. Seeing that we don't have the floor elevation sheets anymore, having those staircases would just be amazing. But mostly for me, spiral staircases, I'm looking so much forward to. I mean, they have to add that, right? I feel like they have to add that at some point. But yeah, we've started with the other side of the build. And if you've been with the channel for a very long time, you know that I'm all over the place when I'm building. I'm like on one side, then I figure out, okay, so this could look really cool here, then I'm on that side, and it kind of keeps going like that. So I'm just like all over the place all the time, trying to make a build, because I don't know if I'm the only one who has this, but I get an idea, then I'm like, oh, I can implement that now, because otherwise if I don't implement it now, I'm gonna forget. So I'm all over the place all the freaking time. So yeah, I'm trying to do some stuff here. Again, I wanted to have this grate from the front, this great big wall that you could see where there would be running water coming through. So that's what we built here, and I'm gonna put these water fountain tool thingies behind them, so it actually looks like running water behind the doors, or the like little openings, which I thought was such a cool idea. Lots of trees, lots of these tropical plants in here, and of course big statues all over the place. Again, drawing inspiration from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In that game, there's so many of like the places that has like these huge, enormous statues. Even like in the beginning of the game, you climb freaking Zeus to like a viewpoint, a freaking huge statue of Zeus in Kefalonia, which I thought was just such a cool idea, so I wanted to implement that into this build as well. I know some of these statues, like for example the Zeus one in Kefalonia, has never existed because there's no sign of a statue there, but again, it's a game, so I can kind of take creative liberties with this game. Again, more towers around the place just to create the illusion that we have this great big city. I was having some problem with on the other side of the build here. For some unknown reason, the towers didn't want to have the added trim on the side of the build, and I tried to come around that, but yeah, it just didn't work. So I covered most of the towers up with more plants just to hide the fact that there was no trim. And at this point in the game, when I started building on the other side, even though I have an amazing desktop computer who is more than capable of handling games like The Sims, like it's a really powerful computer I built, the game started to lag. For me, when I was moving around and placing items, it took a couple of like milliseconds before the items was actually placed down, which was like, oh, come on, what are you doing to me? But we made it work, and you can't see it in the speed build either, so that's really good. But there's just a certain point when you put in so many items that the game is like, nope, this is no good. There's like too much going on here. But we made it work, guys. We made it work. On top of the mountain top here, we of course have the grand big throne room. I said in the beginning that I didn't want to have I was trying to go for a Disney vibe, but I actually went the more Greek way. There is a little hint of Disney in this build, and let me know if you can actually see it down in the comment section below if you notice it. I'm not gonna mention it to you guys unless you actually figure it out, but there is a little hint of it. It's not accurate to the actual Disney movie, but there is a hint of it. So if you are a die-hard Disney fan, I feel like you should notice it. There's especially in the ending video where we kind of showcase the build in the end. There is a little teaser for it there. So if again you're a die-hard Disney fan, you should be able to notice it. It's not 100% accurate to the original, but I threw it in there just a little homage because it's like the Disney Atlantis movie is so freaking good. Am I the only one who loves that movie? I remember when I was little, I was so afraid of the, what is it called? The Kraken, which is like this Scandinavian sea monster. It's also in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but I was so afraid of that monster-like thing, machine thingy they created, the Atlanteans. And I remember being afraid of that, and I remember like always rolling past that part of the movie back when we had VHS movies. Oh my gosh, do you guys remember those? The videotapes? Damn, I'm old. But yeah, I always rolled past that because I hated that part of the movie. Seeing that we're building the throne room here, the sizing, it's a little off because I built the way that I built. So the throne room, there's some of the rooms that's bigger, some are smaller, but again, I don't think it actually matters. It's about the aesthetics. So we have this great big cubic thing on the top, which I think looks amazing. I'm so happy about how that turned out. I was a bit afraid when I was scaling it up that it would just look silly, but I love the way that it looks. It fits so well in. More huge statues just to really accentuate the build. And going to the back here, this is where the game really started to lag for me. Like, this was ridiculous at this point. When I started putting in these huge towers and the staircases in the back of the build, the game flipped out. And I was like, ugh, damn it. Why do I have to deal with this? I don't like... but I kept going on, guys. I wanted to make this build amazingly beautiful, and that's what I think we achieved. I'm so happy about how this build turned out. And while we're at the topic of builds, I can just like again plug my Discord server. That is definitely where I am going to post little teasers of what I'm currently working on. So my Discord peeps already know what build is coming after this one. So if you want to join the team on like the Discord team, again, link in the description down below. Definitely go check us out. It's a really cool server and I love talking to you guys on the server as well. But again, the back of the builds, nothing special going on back here. I just kind of mimicked what we did in the front. I copy pasted a lot of the towers that we had and just, yeah, threw in tons of plants. So I used a lot of the plants from the jungle adventures and some from the jungle, no, not jungle, what is it called, outdoor retreat. There's like this tree in outdoor retreat that looks like an olive tree. So I used that because I really loved the way that that looked. Really gave me these Greek Mediterranean vibes, which I fairly enjoyed, so I used that as well. And again, tons of big statues. Just, it's all about the dressing. If you have ever seen design shows and stuff like that, like, what is it called? On Netflix, there's, I don't know how it is for other people around the world, but on the Danish Netflix, we have this show called The Great British Interior Design Challenge. And in that show, it's always almost all about the dressing of the room. Can you dress the room to look really pretty and make a statement, to really make everything come together? And I feel like that's the thing with The Sims as well. So for me, it's all about dressing the room, making sure that everything looks nice, so we have this great overall feel in the end of it. So that's what I tried to do here. Dressing the build is what it's really all about, and just another little of these kind of, not even sure what to call them. I mean, most of the builds in this or the buildings in this build is just for dress up. Again, it's not actually a usable build at the moment. You could make it that, but I didn't. So it's just about the exterior. And just doing some more towers and these smaller houses with the seating areas inside, just trying to make everything look nice and good. And yeah, I mean, that's really the last thing we're gonna do. If you guys have any questions about the build or any of the items that I used, ask me down below. Definitely ask me. I'm always up for answering questions. And even though I might not answer your comment, be sure that I have read it. It's just, I say this all the time, but there's so many comments coming in all the time that it's really difficult for me to keep up with the comments and answer everybody. So if you get a like or like that favorite thingy you can do now, that means that I've seen your comment. And even if I don't do that, I still see your comment. I check my YouTube comment section every single day, so there's like hundreds of comments to read through. But again, that's why join me on Discord, because if you want to get in contact with me, write with me, like ask me questions and stuff like that, that's the best place to do it. It really is. So again, link in the description down below. And the last thing we're gonna do here is just throw in some plants. I wanted to cover up this foundation because I thought it looked horrible, and then we're just throwing in some stones around the place just to hide the fact that the terrain sometimes clips through stuff, which is really not good looking, but I tried to hide that, putting in tons of these jar thingies, because again, this is the lost city of Atlantis. So in my head, there's not really people living here at the moment. It's like a myth. So I wanted it to look lush, beautiful, mythical, but I wanted also to have it look like it was abandoned, if that makes sense. That's kind of my thought behind it anyways. Going on to the room in the middle of the build on the top of the mountain, we have the kind of little room here, and I just made like this little fountain area and tried to make it look cool. Again, abandoned, mythical. I really wanted to have it look like it was part of something great at some point. We had also these statues poking through the walls, so I wanted to incorporate that. And then I chose these chandeliers because I thought they looked really beautiful. And yeah, here we have it, the Atlantis build. So tell me what you thought about the build down below. If you enjoyed it, yeah, I think it turned out so good. It's so pretty looking, and it's really, in my opinion, it's really mythical looking. I'm loving how it looks, and there you can see the waterfalls behind those peek through window thingies, which I also think looks awesome. Remember, if you want to get this build, it is on the gallery right now. So just search my origin ID, which is Auvbri, and you should be able to find every single one of my builds. Also, there's a link in the description down below for the direct download on the gallery page here in a web browser, so you can press that as well to download the house. Also, follow me on Twitter, again, link in the description down below. That is usually where I post stream updates and stuff like that, so you can see when I'm gonna stream next. And again, I want to do it again, but I'm gonna create a plug for my Discord server. There's also a link in the description down below to go check that out. That is where you can contact me. There's tons of channels for streams, sim stuff, other games, simspiration, food, and all that kind of stuff. And I really want to make a cool community in there, so go check that out. And as we take a look at the last screenshots here, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave it a big like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And there's nothing else for me to say other than have a truly fantastic day wherever you are in the world.